And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
I'm very pleased today to talk about Space Cadets. This is a new cooperative game by Brian Sidney and Jeff Engelstein, all of whom I would consider good friends, and I've known them for years, so you can take that in your consideration when I rave about this game somewhat. But that's not the reason behind it at all. I liked Jeff's last game, Jeff and Brian's last game, the Ares project, but not like this game. I'm giving my opinion ahead of time a little bit, but this is one of the most unique, one of the most interesting cooperative games that's on the market, if not the most unique one for sure. Let's take a look at a little bit of how it plays and we'll come back. In Space Cadets, you are all flying a spaceship that's going to go throughout space. And there's all different sorts of scenarios and things you'll find as you fly throughout space. You'll start on one of these quadrants in your trusty spaceship, and you'll be flying around, and there will be invisible quadrants, or quadrants that you haven't found yet. And in these quadrants, you will either put normal enemies, or easy enemies, or hard enemies, whatever the scenario tells you, and possibly a crystal. And then when you find or discover that quadrant, then you will place those enemies on the board and or crystals. So then you will go and deal with those. So that's basically the overview of the whole game purpose. You have a certain thing. For example, in the first one, you need to go and get 4 of these crystals or 3 of these crystals that are scattered around the board and escape with your life, basically, and jump out. To do that, though, each person has a station, and this station is something that they run. Now, I'm not going to go into every station in extreme detail or everything in detail, but this is how the game works. One person is the captain, and at the beginning of the game, each person will have a different number of stations depending on how many people are playing the game. But the captain basically runs through the game, and we'll say, okay, first we'll do the energy, then we get ready to do our stations. Then there's an action phase, which might be broken into 2 parts, depending on how many players there are, where these things are done simultaneously. There's 2 sides to this captain thing, depending on how many players are in the game. And then we resolve what people did at their station, then someone can try to tractor beam, then we fire weapons, then we see when enemies come. There's a certain number of turns before an enemy nemesis spaceship shows up, starts following you, and is a real pain in the neck. Then maybe can we jump out, which is often the final, and then have we taken damage, we'll repair it. So the captain will be moving through those with the timer, sometimes using the timer to do the different things. So let's take a look at each of the stations. One might say that the engineering is the most important station on the board. The engineering, what he's going to be doing is he'll be playing a little mini game where he'll be taking 7 tiles from the engineering deck, and during his 30 seconds he can match these tiles together as much as he can, because when he matches these tiles together, and let's say, well, I'll just throw some together here to see how it works. You'll notice that some of the tiles, as they match together, will create full circles of the same type, and others don't. Each full circle of that type is going to allow you to give an energy token to that section, and each of these sections is able to use these tokens in different ways. Now, you can use 2 of these tokens and change it to one of another type, but you're going to find as the game progresses that every single person at these stations is going to be demanding as much energy as they can. So that's what the engineering guy does, is he gets the energy. Whoever's in charge of sensors has a couple jobs they can do. In the advanced game, they can cloak the ship, which is cool. But usually they're trying to scan different sectors so they can find a new sector that you can drive into. Or there might be specific things that they're trying to get a lock on, maybe an enemy ship or maybe a crystal. They'll take each energy that they're given and they'll draw a card and they'll put that down. So, if you have more than 3 energy, maybe you'll put 2 on a ship so that you have a chance to get a better lock on that ship. Now, each of these cards that they draw shows a different shape. Think Tetris shapes, kind of, sort of. And then during the time frame, their mini game is to, by feel alone, pull into this bag and hopefully pull out a piece that matches the ones that are on here. If you do match one of these pieces on here, then you will have put a lock on that spaceship. And if you match both of them, then you can put a super lock on a spaceship, or just there's different things that you're trying to do, and that's the sensor's job. Now the person at the helm is actually driving the ship, and they're going to be playing cards down in these spots depending on how fast the ship is moving at any given point. So let's say the ship is traveling at speed 4, they're going to put down 4 cards. During that time frame, they're going to draw cards equal to their maneuver, which is their speed plus their maneuver energy. They can allocate energy there, or they can allocate energy here to increase or decrease their speed. You may not wish to crash into something, for example. You may wish to go as fast as you can. Depending on how fast you're going, enemies might have an easier time shooting at you. You'll draw a certain amount of cards then, and then you have to determine which order to put these cards in, depending on what speed you're going. You also have special maneuvers, which are pretty awesome, that you can use up here above that you can pull off, but these will also do some damage to your ship when you use them, so you have to think carefully, is that worth doing? And then once you're done, the players are going to be actually moving their ship following these commands here, maybe turn right, turn left, go forward, turn right. It's almost like Robo Rally type movement here, as the person with the helm has to make sure the ship's in the right spot and facing the right direction. Enemy ships are going to be constantly attacking you and shooting at you, so you want to make sure your shields are up. So the shield officer gets to draw a certain number, depending on how much energy tokens they're given, they get to draw a certain amount of these tiles and turn them over. So let's turn a few of them over. Let's say they turn over, they turn over 1, 2, 3, 4, these 6 tiles. Let's say they get 8 because the person was nice to them. They then are going to allocate these tiles to different sides of the ship. And here they're essentially trying to make poker hands. So maybe I would put up here, I'd put a 1, a 2, and a 3. Down here I put a 4 in the middle. Over here I'll put a 5, a 6, and a 7. And I'll put a 1 over here. Now, what you do is you check each side once time is up, and you'll look. And over here you can see whether you're looking for pairs or straights or any 5 things. So here I have 4 straight, 4, 5, 6, 7, because the 1 in the middle is added to all the sides. And so 4 straight lets me put my shields up by 2. Here, 1, 2, 3, 4, same thing. Here, 1 and 4 don't do anything, so I don't get to move the shields on the side, and I didn't put any in the back, so I don't get to move the shields in the back either. Now, if you get them all to be the same color, you also double the amount of shields you have. So when your enemy shoots at you, you will subtract from shields first. Hopefully that's enough. If not, then you're going to take some damage. So here the damage and repair officer, when you get hit on the side and take damage, you'll be drawing cards to see what happens. Sometimes you'll get lucky and it won't be bad, but many times, look at these cards, they're all negative things. A structure, that's not so bad, but many times it will give you an immediate effect, and then also maybe a permanent effect, and those permanent effects are going to continually annoy you, so you can try to repair them, and you repair them by drawing cards from the repair deck, and the more energy that's given to the repair guy, he can redraw. Here you roll a die to see whether your repairing causes more damage or whether you can fix one of the cards. Sometimes a card just lets you repair automatically, and sometimes a card just automatically damages you. The problem is when you repair automatically, those cards are gone. So the more you have to repair your ship, the more likely you're going to take damage. And eventually you're going to take core breach damage, which is really bad. Each time you take damage and there's no more cards left on that side, you'll move this token up 1, and then you'll see here that there's a certain number here. So let's say it's at 5. You have to hand out 5 core breach cards, 1 to each player if possible, and then you can hand out more. And each of these cards has a funky looking shape on it. And what you're going to do is you're going to pass around the core repair deck, and people are going to go through that deck 1 card at a time, trying to find a match for the card that they have. Once they find that match, they're done. They discard it, pass it to the next person. If you don't get all the cards taken care of before the timer's out, then your ship blows up and you lose. So that can be kind of stressful, and it's something everybody's working on together. There's also cards in these decks, like here in the starboard deck, that say shift change. When that happens, players will be able to shift to switch what job they're doing. So you may not like being the damage repair guy, so you can volunteer and the captain will move you possibly to navigation. Whoever's in charge of the tractor beam, depending on how many energy, will get to turn over a certain number of tiles. And what they're doing as they turn over tiles is they're trying to get tiles that match each other. Like, for example, there's 2 yellow 1 squares that match each other. And so I'm able to tractor beam something that's 1 away. And I'm hopefully trying to get enough of these because I want to tractor beam the crystals. And also tractor beaming enemy ships can allow me to do double damage to them. depending on how much energy was given to the weapons officer, he will have different cards that he is trying to load. These cards are torpedoes, and so during his time frame, he is trying to use pieces to fill these cards up so that he can launch a torpedo. If he doesn't fill the card up, he's not going to be able to launch the torpedo at all. So you can see here that if I was the officer at this point in time, everybody would be yelling at me because I'm doing such a horrific job at putting this one up. But wait a minute, there, and oh, there's not another one that I can load up there. Oh, Vasel, hurry up. Aha! But time would have run out by now, and so I wouldn't have had a chance to load the other torpedo. So I would only have one torpedo. My torpedo then goes on a range, depending on how far I am. The farthest you can be is 6. And then I'm going to shoot at the other person by flicking a disc. So I flick the disc, and there I've missed completely. I'm hoping to land up here. And then the amount of damage that you do after you flick it depends on whether, if you're not locked, that's how much damage. If you're locked, and if you're super locked, hopefully the sensor officer has helped you out here. And then hopefully you can do double damage depending on if you have a tractor beam on the ship. And each ship in the game has different stats on it, how far they move, how much shields they have, how many hit points they have. And ships also are programmed that they will move certain spots and come after you and try to shoot you if they can pick you up.
There's even more, really. There's also another section where when you jump the ship, the one person rolls dice and they have to roll 5 of the same number, and you can do that as the game progresses by kind of warming up the jump engines and getting cards that will help you manipulate your dice so that you can make that final jump. And so all these things are working together, and that looks complicated, but when playing the game, it's not complicated, and I'll tell you why. Because each person, I say, this is how you do your job. You only need to worry about your job. And that's what makes this a cooperative game that I think a lot of people would like, because one of the problems with cooperative games that it's never really a problem for me, but people call it the alpha gamer, where one person will go out there and say, this is what you should do. And they tell every single person, you do this, you do this, you do this, you do this. And no one is ever really happy with that, unless they're the alpha gamer. I guess they're having a good time. In this game, you don't have time to do that because everybody is working on their station simultaneously. Sure, there's a time for discussion, where should you move the energy, but I really can't tell you how to set up the engine room when I'm busy over here assembling my torpedoes. And that's such a cool aspect of the game, and it almost feels like a bunch of little flash games inside the same thing. One person has a little dexterity with flicking the disc. Another person is doing a little Tetris thing. And if you don't like your station, which happens, I suppose, once that the switch places comes up, which it likely will since your ship's going to get pounded, you can volunteer, and then if you volunteer, you must be switched to another station. So there will be something different for you to do. And each of the stations has a very different feel to it. I mean, the torpedo obviously has that of a dexterity style game to it. The flying the ship really almost, for me, it felt like Robo Rally. Okay, gotta make sure the ship's going in the right direction. That one's the one that gives me the most stress. The captain kind of keeps everything under control and helps make the game run smoothly, and also can make some decisions. He has some special cards that he can take at the beginning, special equipment that if you use them at the right time can really help your ship out. And making the poker hand type things with the shields. There's really a lot going on, but again, you only really need to concentrate on your station/stations if you're playing with few enough players. The game itself ranges from moderately difficult, the initial mission, to much more difficult, and it's really easy to adjust that. It's not as hard as some cooperative games I've played, but in reality, the difficulty of the game comes down to the skill of the players more than any other game I've seen. So as you can tell, I'm really enjoying this game. I like the artwork. The components are good quality. They could have been better. I mean, the prototype was really nice. But it works. It goes up to 6 players and plays 6 players fantastically, although it's not so bad lower. I haven't yet played it with 3 players. I played it with 4, 5, and 6. With 3 players, it seems like you'd have too many stations to worry about. And I guess that'd be fun for some people. But I like the fact that each of us were our own station on a starship. So the theme is very attractive to me. The fact that I'm on a starship. The way the game plays is just so interesting and so unique. I'm going to go on record and say this is one of the best cooperative games I've ever played. It's certainly a great game that's come out this year. It gives a feel that no other cooperative game that I can think of has given, and it's certainly one that you should try out. It's just such a unique, interesting experience. You'll have a lot of fun playing Space Cadets.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find the latest board game news at Dicetowernews.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Fun Again Games, the world's best game source. Fun Again Games has over 5,000 games available. Check them out at funagain.com.
Shut the door.